recording the part 4 of the Pokemon-like game. For today, I want to focus on displaying statistics of our characters into the scene. And so let's just quickly go over what we have thus far. So currently, if we load in an enemy from an encounter, we'll get something like this, where we have, if we go into our, where are we? The battle controller, we will see that we have loaded characters in. And they all have their own stats properly put in. Yesterday I said I'm going to use a formula that will calculate how we check our statistics, and that has been indeed. And I found the formula yesterday after I finished the stream. And this is basically what it resulted as. So let's open up the class. So this is the formula for calculating normal statistics, and this is the formula for calculating statistics using for health, as health is done slightly differently. Of course, this is based on Pokemons. The only difference is in this, the generic formula is that we are not taking nature into account, because I don't know if I want to have a nature system involved in this particular game. So for now, this is the formula we're going to go with, and let's just quickly implement the formula. So this is how we implement the formula. We call in the stat formula dot calculate health, and then we just pass in the character base health. Actually, I can just copy all of that down from the line above, like so, and I'll just copy this for every single of these statistics and slightly change them so we're passing through the correct elements. And this now gives us, let me just remove Steam because it keeps displaying names. So of course now we have to modify these guys around. HP. Why is this one the only one that's showing error? Oh, that's fine. So yeah, first thing we need to change now is change all of these so they grab the correct statistics. So of course for these ones it's going to be base attack. What do we have? Base defense, base special attack, base special defense, and base speed, like so. Now we need to do the IVs and EVs. So it's going to be, first one's okay. IV, oh, I don't think I actually set them as available. So let's open up the character script. Now the goal for this part is to populate all of these fields so we get the correct display of health. Okay, so what do we have here? No, that's fine. Owned character. Come on. So we have only HP set up. Okay. Bloop. 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 I wonder if there's a quicker way to do this than me just right-clicking. It's definitely quicker than typing it out manually. So what do we have? IV attack, IV defense, IV special attack, IV special defense, and IV speed. And then for same thing for EVs. No, health is okay. EV attack, EV defense, EV, what do we have here? Special attack, and then EV special defense, and EV speed. Wait, what? EV speed. Oh, I see what I did wrong here. Okay, let's just double check everything. So it's speed, 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 special, defense, special, base, base, yeah, yep. Okay, everything seems fine. So now we get this cool formula to calculate all of the stats. So let's now press play. Now, after reading how this formula works, I've realized that it's pretty cool because we will essentially never get values that are low. So if we look at this enemy character who's level 1, well, level 0 in fact, all of his statistics are at a minimum of 5. And if we look at the other character who I set to level 21, his statistics grew significantly from that point. So it's a pretty cool formula, I guess. Okay, either way, now that we've set up our character, we also need to set up this panel whenever it's the turn of that character. So let's look at the code. Let's close anything that we don't need. So for this, we will need, I believe, in this script, maybe the battle controller, and maybe the icon one. So it would be inputs. Let's have a look. So let's run through the code. What happens is we process all the characters. We go into the select action, and select action checks if the character is at 0, right? And if it's a player 1, that means that it's our turn. And then we go into our player input, and what does that do? And it runs set select action. So set select action is probably in here. And what this does is it enables the action panel, but it actually has to do some other things. So what has to happen at this point is we have to load in the information of the character at the 0th point. At the same time, we do this by, I guess we can have by having a reference to this panel, or would, let me think, when would we load in the character's information and stats? I guess no, that would be actually done as soon as we finish sorting the first character. So if we go back to the process, because we always see our health regardless of what's happening. So what really happens is, as soon as we process, we then have to process the player's first character. Um, and set up his stats. So since this game mode is a one-on-one, this is where we know where to process all of the information. It's where we grab the player data. So let's add it here. So this creates the player character, and then this creates the enemy character, right? So what we can do after we do this, we can set up player statistics. Of course, later, if we want to have more modes, which are going to be like 2v2s or so, this will have to change significantly, but that will be later in the future. So we're just going to leave it thinking about the 1v1 mode for now. So this sets up player statistics, sets up enemy statistics. So there are two sets of panels that we have. We have our player and enemy panel. I guess we can make a new script that holds the information of each, or just store everything in battle controller. And I think it's better to make a new script, not to have everything clamoring into the one single script, have everything split against many other scripts instead. So let's go into our battle management, and let's create a, well, what should we call it? Character statistics tab. Sure, let's call it that. So characters information, panel characters information, player 1, and the other one's going to be called player 2. Later, dynamically, we can even make more of them, especially for the 2v2 mode. I'll have to look at the original games, how they handled the UI in 2v2s. What do we have here? And let's drag the newly created script here. So I believe it's, yep, that one. So every character has, well, they'll have health bars, the name. So let's just type in private. For this, we'll have to use using Unity engine.ui. And we'll, of course, have to have the image property, which is going to be the health bar image. We will have a text, which is going to be character name text. We will have a level display, so level text. And finally, we will have a current health text, like so. So a image health bar that displays a current health, a text that displays the name of the current character, level text that displays the level of the character. That's some weird commenting here. And finally, a text that shows the current health in numbers. Now, with this, we will then just need to create a simple function, which we'll call public void set tab. And set tab will set all of these to what they should be. And then we'll also have to have another one, which will update the health. So this one's going to be called public void update health bar. Now, the update health bar will, I guess, take in a number. Well, two numbers to update the health bar, and set tab will mainly be responsible of displaying the static information more than anything. So with this done, let's go back into our character controller and figure out what information we need to pass over in order for this to work. So firstly, we need to have a reference to this panel to be able to know which panel we want to grab. So for now, let's just make a serializable field and just get a direct reference to that panel. So I believe it's called statistics, something's character statistics tab. Oh, actually, it's in the corner. So the characters tab. And what I'll do is I will make this an array for now. And I'm just going to make a note to myself, which is going to be like 0 is player 1, 1 is player 2, like so. The reason why I'm making this an array is because I will probably want to have this as an array in the future regardless, although I might split it between the players and the enemies. But I guess it's a early concept idea. So we'll do characters tab at 0 dot set tab, and of course here we'll have to pass through in the information that are required, and what we need to pass is whatever has a reference to the owned character. So what do we have here? Controller. Does the character battle controller have it? It does. So let's pass in the character battle controller through. Where are we? So we'll just put our CBC, like so. Of course, this guy gives us an error. but that's fine because we are not taking any parameters yet in the other one. So let's go back here and do character battle controller CBC, well, yeah, CBC, like so. And with this, we no longer get the error. It's actually so many. I just need to write null everywhere for this to disappear. Okay, I'm going to do that at some other point. Now, with this done, all we have to do now is just do our, well, no, let's do, so character's name text.text is equal to our cbc.character. Do we not have, there we go. Actually not gonna allow this to be a set value. So cbc dot character in, is it called character in play? I need to remember what I name things. Dot character dot name character name. So this will display the name of the character. We will follow the exact same principle for the level, but instead of doing this, we'll just put level. Is level not? There we go, like this. Of course, we want to display level slightly differently, so we will add a little bit of text and just type in LV, like so, and that displays the level. And then we'll just call update health bar, and we'll be again passing through this, because this will be called in externally at many points. So here we can just pass through what came through here, and we will do a health bar dot fill amount, and that's going to be equal to cbc dot, and now we need a maximum health, so that's the health we start off at, and current health. So right now we only have one health value, but in reality we need another one. So let's just copy this, duplicate it, and call it current health, like so. And we need to make both of them accessible, of course. Using the getters and setters, but we are not going to allow setting outside of this class. And then, so once we attach the health, we'll just make current health equal to health at the end. Now that we have this done, we can do our current health divided by, is it divided by? CBC health. Like this, and for the text, we'll do current health text.text is equal to, how do we want to do it? Like this. So we're just going to put CBC. Actually, let's copy that line from above and just do this like so. Add two pluses on each side. And with this, we can now, all of the stats should display if we attach everything to where it should be. So let's just go into our battle controller, and now we should have two empty spots if have we made the field serializable? Yes, we did. Oh, there we are. So let's just put 2 down, put player 2 in slot 1, and put this player in this slot. And now let's set these guys up. So text name, where are we? Name, text level, text level name health. Done. Let's do the exact same thing for the other one. Level, health, name. And now let's do the foreground and do the exact same here. Foreground. Hello. Now for this one, we need to change the visuals the same way we did it for the other one. So call this the overlay. Add the overlay. All of these have to be preserving the aspect ratio. This is and then finally the background. There we go. And now we have ourselves the health. Now let's press play and see how that's going to work. Kind of good, kind of not. So we start off with level 0 in the corner. I feel like I've put the wrong things in the wrong way. The health does display properly, it's just that the name is wrong. So where did we go wrong? Name is... Okay, so that's name, that's health. Let's have a look at the actual code. Where are we? In character display tab. Oh, there we go. That's where we went wrong. So that should have been level text, really. Okay, with this done, now it should load properly. Now we do have a character with level 0, which is not something that we want in the game, but again, that's fine for now. And now let's fix the character camera slightly. So if we look here, actually, let's apply the sprites. So let's go into our scriptable for characters. They all have the character sprite, which is the front and the back. So let's lock this into place and give them a temporary icon so we can visualize everything better. So let's go into our character sheet and select this one for our back, and for our front, something that is looking from front, like this, right? So now that we have this done, when we generate a character, we will also, so we know that every enemy character is at the top, so they face towards us, but the player character is not looking at us, it's looking away. So what we want to do is we want to set the correct sprite to our generated object by grabbing its sprite component. So let's press play and have a look at which component we need to get. So we need to grab the sprite render and change its image to the back image of that specific character. So let's do that. So our go object, we will have to get the sprite render of this object, and in here we will set its sprite to the, where are we? To the either the front or the back of our character. So front and back, let's grab these. Of course, we don't want to set them at any point, we just want to grab these values. Like so. So now let's go back, and we can grab this by going into cbc.character. Actually, no, there is a better one. New character. And since it's an enemy, we want the front. Oh, I actually created that twice. I don't need. I guess I did it in advance. There we go. And this will display the front sprite that we selected for this character. And we want to do the opposite for the player character. So we want to show the back. Of course, there is no new character here. But what do we have here? But we have this following line. So this is what we're going to use. There you go. Dot back of the sprite. And with this done, the game will automatically attach the correct sprite now to the character of our choice. Now, let's press play, and then we can fiddle with the camera so we can actually see these up close, because I don't believe we can see them right now. So yeah, especially since they spawn on top of them. So this is the enemy one, and as you see, the enemy one is they're all tagged as player one, which is something that we have to change. So one thing that we have to do is our go.tag has to be changed based on the player that we are setting. Right? So the top one for the enemies sets them to player 2, and the bottom one sets them to player 1. Let's actually make sure that we have a player 2 to tag into. We do. I guess we did that yesterday. Now, let's do the camera next. So we did this, and now let's have a look at the camera. Let's have a look at the platform. So let's move everything to a 0, 0, 0. So if I actually zero everything, we can see the characters. Maybe not the best. So now what I want to kind of do is move. I'm going to just move this into another screen. So for a while, you won't be able to see this for a while, but what I'm basically trying to do is move the character to the position where they would be displayed as in the UI. And now that I have this, I'll just copy this component and I'll paste this component here, and I'll play again, and now the enemy will appear in this spot. There we go. And for our player platform, I will again move into here, and I'll copy the component, and will paste the component values here. So now if we press play, they both spawn in the same spot. I have this weird feeling that they are both spawning to the same. Yeah, they are both. So this should be the player position. So now they'll both spawn on the opposite ends. Of course, right now it's everything's a bit small. We probably want to zoom in on the camera. So let's just zoom in on 2 and then move this around a little bit more till we get what we are looking for. Go away. Yeah, let's just leave it here. Copy component, paste component values. Now, I actually don't know how Pokemon's set theirs up, so but for now, this is good enough. Okay, let's copy the component and then paste the enemy platform. We'll try to figure that little thing out later. So now if we press play, we have a reference point. So we have a name, we have panels, we have the level display. Of course, it doesn't look the best, but the visuals is something we can work on as we go on. So now what we want to do is we want to have an option to attack with our attacks. So right now, if we press attack, all that happens is we have that one attack icon and that's it, and nothing else. So let's focus on this panel, on the attack panel next. Let's go into our moves panel, just disable the action panel for now. I'm going to create 4 attack buttons. Same way we have the other ones, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I kind of wish they were more spread out like the other one. Okay, what I'm going to do is I will remove the moves and duplicate the moves, rename it to, I guess, skills. Where are we? Okay, let's go to battle control and attach our second panel into skills. Where is it? There we go, the missing panel. And what I'll instead do is I'll of course remove the different classes that they have. I'll give them a different name. Oh, I have a message. Okay, sorry for this little delay. So we will have just attack one. We'll just call them attack button select attack one. Sure. Let's copy this name and paste this for every single one of them. Now, the name of this doesn't matter. What we'll do is we'll attach an attack to the user to this specific button and only enable. Most weirdest Ash. I mean, it's not an Ash. Those are the only assets that I could find. I actually have this website which lets you create them. I'll try to replace the assets with something else later, but it does its purpose for a placeholder currently. Okay. So now that we have this, we have to create a script which will handle all of our moves. I believe I had that script somewhere, but it was just empty. Where are we? What do we have here? Nope. There you go. That's the one. So each of these will have, I'll attach this component to each of these buttons. And okay, so we had our test for testing the moves. So what this button will have to do is it will have to store the move that we will have. And that, so if I'm correct, they should be called as a skill. Yep, there we go. So currently we have this empty class that we've created yesterday. And it's called this use skill, like so. So let's now create some skills so we can use them within the game and attach them to a player. So here we'll do create, file name new skill, menu name skills new skill, and then order number 0, like so. This will create a new menu for a skill. What can we have in each of our skills? We'll have some kind of a skill ID. Each skill will have to have their own public virtual void use. So what this does is it's going to have its own code that will be run when we run that specific skill. So if we go back into our little button script that we created, where are we? Moves button. We'll have a private skill, the attached skill. So the skill that will be attached to this button will simply just do attached dot use, and this will run whatever code is specific to that item, that to that ability. So that means that they will all they can be as original, they can have their own functionalities, and it will all be run in the exact same way. So then later on, I'll have multiple different classes that just overwrite this specific function, and they will all do their own thing. So let's just say we have some kind of a fire move that does damage over time. The damage over time will be applied from an overridable function in here, and so on. For now, this is good enough as a base for that skill. Bit cold. There we go. So with this done, let's attach let's attach this to each of the buttons. Actually, we only need one to make it work properly. Where are we? Use skill like so, and just create 4 of them like so. Also, what we need is just some setups. So here it currently says attack, but we want to change that to what the game will actually be, what the move will actually be. So that means we need another field here, which will be a text component, no, a string, which is going to be the name of the skill. So let's call it the skill name. And I will make this a serializable field. And I'll allow this value to be taken from somewhere. So let's create now a text component and call this text component skill name text. And what's going to happen is when we initialize the button for the first time, we will then we will set up the correct name so it matches the skill. So before we do any of that, let's create some skills and attach them to our player character. So let's call it skill. And let's just call it skill A. Now let's create only 3 rather than 4, because we want to make sure that we only see the amount of buttons that we have skills, rather than more than necessary. So here's our character, the randomly generated character. So let's drag in each of these skills through, like so. And let's open our own character script. Okay, so that's set up correctly. So if we go into, so I believe the moves get set up in here, enable player moves. So at this point, we have to set all the buttons up, and that means all of our buttons will have to be stored in here. So let's create a serializable field and check for the component of these buttons. So each of these buttons has a private transform, a component called moves buttons, like so. Not a transform. There you go. Right. With this, we can then attach them into our what do we call into this class that we just created. So here we have 4 buttons that we can just drag over. Actually, the quicker way to do this would be to just lock it, select all of them. Where are we? And drag them in here. Now with this, now we have a connection to this class, and when we enable them, we can just loop through every skill that our character has, enable the ones that we have to, and then disable every other one. So we'll just do for, I guess let's just do moves buttons.length. So we'll loop for every single button, and then let's make a clause if, and then this is where we have to get access to the character at 0, which is characters to manage at 0. So if we go here, we will just do do we have reference? Yes, we do. So battle controller dot this. Of course, this will have to be a capital. So if our character is to manage at 0 dot, and what are we looking for? We are looking for the character's abilities. So let's go into the characters in play, because that's what references that this specific class in the other class. And what we're looking for is skills. Are skills referenced? they're not. So we need to get the skills. And we do this like so. So if skills at I, because we want to enumerate at the same time with this class, is not null. So first we basically check if that skill is not null. If it's not null, then we can enable this specific button to true. So moves button I dot game dot game dot set active true. And we'll, of course, that means that our else statement is gonna be equal to false. Right. The good thing about this is that we're not generating extra buttons. We'll always have 4 buttons. We either enable them or disable them based on how many moves we have, and we just replace the data within the items. So we're not creating new variables. We just keep recycling through the already existing ones. Okay. So now that we have this, all we have to do is just set up our button. So let's create a new function. So this will be uses the skill when user selects it. And the other one, the function that we need to make is public void setup button. So this will set up our button. Now we have this. I'm just going to put this into on enable. And I'm going to remove the test because we don't need the test anymore. Now, what our setup button will do is it will take in some information and set up the skill name and anything else that we need to do. So the simplest way to do it is just to pass a skill called new skill, and we will just set our attached skill to new skill. And with this, we have a permanent reference to this skill unless we replace it with a new one. So then let's just go to skill name.text. And we will equal this to our attached skill name, like so. Now, this is everything that we need to do to set up the skill. Where are we? So if we go back into our player input, we just go moves buttons I dot game object hello dot setup button, and we will pass through the skill at the position of I. Now, this should work and should display the names. So since we've created the skills, we didn't actually give them a name. So let's give them a name. So let's just call this the Fire Strike. And this one's going to be, I don't know, Ice Strike. And the final one's going to be Water Strike. Now let's press play, click attack, and nothing has happened. And why has nothing happened? Because we didn't set up the text component. So that's my bad. What I had to do was just drag in each of these into their field. I'll change the names off stream and get rid of the yellow warnings by just typing null at the end of every single variable. So there you go. Now we have all of the moves that our character has. Now let's double check that this system 100% works as intended. So the character of ours has skills ABC, which is correct. Let's remove one of these skills. Let's remove skill C and press play. And that displays the skill fine. What happens if we actually have a skill in a different slot? And that's actually interesting. That will still display everything the same way. So now you have a system which applies the correct skills, and we can, of course, use them. Of course, for now, there are no skills to be used, but the framework for this already exists. So let me think. In Pokemons, do we first select a target or a skill? We definitely select the move and then we select the target, right? I mean, currently in the 1v1, I'm actually just going to quickly grab my console and start the random battle to see how it works in a Pokemon game. Yeah, I actually, yes, I have my Switch on me right now. So 1 second. I will quickly deal through that. But anyways, once we carry out the skill, we need to proceed with everything. So let's quickly just check out how to end our turn. What do we have here? So this sets up the characters, skills, and activates the skills panel. Okay, the game has finally loaded. Thank you. Okay, let's do a random monster encounter. Okay, so if I press fight, I select the move. Okay, so in 1v1s, once you select the move, it attacks the only possible character. That's fine. That's all I wanted to know. So that means that there is no middle step in 1v1s. It's just instantly does it. So we don't have to worry about now. We can add the middle step later. So that means that our skill would have been used, and then afterwards, after it would carry out the attack, we just finish the turn by subtracting the current character from our system. So we will just do a controller. We'll just go back to player controller, and we will end action. So let's just do controller dot end action. And that should be good enough. Of course, for now, it will not do anything besides ending the turn for us. And that's actually precisely what we want. So let's press attack. Let's use an attack. And there you go. We went back to the menu. If we look at this, this has resetted the turn because our enemy doesn't actually do anything. Let's make sure it 100% works by... Where are we? So else if characters to manage zero tag is equal to player 2. So right now we can technically get to the point where we give a move to our enemy as well. Although that's actually, let's just do the book.log once we get to his move. Hello, enemy move. Or should we implement attacking first? Tough choice, tough choice. So let's double check this. So we attack, we have moved, and now it's the enemy's turn. Yeah, let's skip the enemy moves, enemy attacks for now. So temporary, since we enemy attacks for now. And let's focus on our own attacks first. So we have our skill, and we know who the target is. The target is going to be the only character on the field who's not of the same tag as us. I guess the simplest way to manage this would be to know who is a character from us and who is the character from the enemies. So what we can do is, instead of having all of the characters grouped together, we can split them into... Or wait, do we keep this so we can keep refreshing every character, or do we have two separate ones? Let's see how we manage adding. How does... So this checks for everyone who's not dead, who's on the field. But yeah, let's do it separately. So let's add two more lists. So this is going to be the player one owned characters. The second one's just going to be player 2. Player 2 owned characters. Now, where are we? Where do we get? So, oh, there we go. So, player 1 owned dot add CBC. Maybe this is not the best way to do it, but I guess it's good enough for now. It's the only thing that's coming to my head. Okay. With this complete, now we have a reference point to each of our characters, so we can directly attack the enemy character. Now, where are we? So in our moves button, we have to pass in some information. The information that we need to pass is our enemy, so the target that we are targeting, as well as the player. So here we'll take in a character. What is it called? Character battle controller. So this is going to be our character, and then one more, which is going to be the enemy character. Of course, I don't want to put it like this here. Where are we? We put this in the actual skill like this. So what we have to pass through here is the following. We have to controller dot and here we get our character at point 0. So where are we? There should be a place where we already get it. So we're literally just grabbing this. So the first thing we pass our own character, and second thing we want to pass is the enemy. For now, there is no way for us to. Well, the only way to grab the enemy is to grab the only enemy from the list. Later, this will have to be significantly changed because we'll focus on more than just 1 versus 1. But this is good enough to get started. And what we'll do is we'll do this dot enemy player 2, and of course at 0 because it's a 1v1 for now. So with this information, we can now attack the character with our own character using the move function. So every single move function will, I guess. So let's start off by doing something with the move. So let's add some fields. Let's add a private integer damage. And let's add a serializable private int, and let's call it accuracy. Accuracy. How do you spell accuracy? Is this wrong? Yeah. Okay. So damage is going to be based, of course, on many things, as well as our player character damage. But for now, let's go with the simplified version of the damage. So what we will do is we will ignore our character for now. So what we would actually have to do is calculate the damage of our stats from the character with the damage of the ability, etc. And then deal damage to the enemy. And of course, the enemy has to have another. There you go, thanks. And then, of course, the enemy would have to have some kind of calculations for that as well. I'll Google the formula that the Pokemons use for calculating their damage. But since I don't have it on hand, I'm just going to do it as normal numbers. So let's open character. What did we call it? There's so many. I keep calling everything character, and then when I look at the folder structure, everything says character, and you never know which one it is. So somewhere in here, we just need a simple function which says public void take damage. Now, take damage will take in a number. Now, since our damage is going to be finally calculated in full numbers, so we will pass through an integer. And let's call it, what do we call it? I guess damage, simple as that. And what damage does is we take our current health, we minus equals damage. Because by this point, we would have already calculated all of the defense, so like resistances, etc., in this class over here. And then we just do a simple if current health is smaller than or equal to 0, then that's when we know we have died. So is dead is true, and our state changes to dead. Of course, states don't do anything for the character just yet, but we will get to it soon, as we're already adding damage. Now, we dealt damage, everything happened. We have to also update some panels. So, as we remember, we have two panels that need to be updated. We have our health bar and we have the text component. I believe they're stored in here. Maybe not. Maybe they're here. Nope. Where did we? Okay, where? We did this 20 minutes ago. Oh yeah, it is here. So character tabs. I actually just gonna change this to UI header. Okay, so let's let's get a getter to this. Go back to our player. No, go away. Go back to this class, and we'll do. I believe there should be a reference to this class. I believe. Well, I guess there isn't. Actually, since we need to access this class so much, it would be better to make this class an instance. So let's just do that. Public static battle controller instance, and let's create an awake function for this, and just do instance is equal to this. And now, instead of having to call battle controller every time, we can just do this battle controller dot instance dot, and what we're looking for is the characters tab. So how will we determine which character tab to update? We can just update both of them, but we use tags. So let's just use an if statement for now, and we will do if this dot tag, if this dot game object dot tag is equal to player 1, then we're just going to update the first one, and if not, we're going to update the second one. For now, we will change this to something else probably later, but there you go. So let's just do update health bar, and we'll pass through this, and then can just copy that through like this. There we go. A little piece of manual code, and with this we have the entire. Well, with this, our moves should now do damage. So let's apply some damage to our skills. Let's set something like 8, 5, and I don't know, 10. Now, if we click, nothing has happened. Why has nothing happened? That's the real question. Did we call everything correctly? Did we pass skills? Oh, So we didn't actually set up the skill part yet. So that's fine. So the way we do, so enemy character dot deal take damage, like so, and we will be passing through damage straight away for now. Okay. Now it should work. So let's click. So we have fire. Let's check how much fire does. So fire should do 8 damage to our opponent, and this part worked. So it did. This bar updated, but the health bar didn't update. So let's have a look at the health bar and see why that's not working. I actually know why it's not working. That's probably because I didn't set it to fill them out. Yeah. So we want to change from radial to horizontal. Yeah, so the image type has to be changed to filled for it to update the bar. So let's repeat the process. Yes. And there we go. Although actually there is another problem. So the entire bar went to 0, and that's because where are we? If we open up the panel, so fill amount is a value between 0 and 1, but we're just pitting these against each other. So what we really have to do is convert these into a decimal value, and to do that we just have to divide them by 100 and just make sure that this number is a float. Let's just first try dividing them by 100, see how that's going to work, and if not, then we'll just convert it to a float after we do the calculation. Interesting. Press play. Oh, well, it's only adding. Did I click on something? Because it's not adding both characters in anymore. Okay, that's weird. What have I done? Where are we? Okay, where are we? Battle controller. It's only adding one. Why is it only acting character B? What happened to character A? Did I comment away? Battle controller should still grab the data from both. Oh, I know why. Where is? Wait, we have character B, right? Is character B the only one that loads? Yeah. Why is it not loading in our player character? What's wrong with you? Where did you disappear? Or is it interesting? There you go. Now we got an error. Yeah. Attempted to divide by 0. Object reference not set. So my little dividing didn't work. But why is this not? So we're trying to call this before we get the reference. But why? Is it because I created an instance of it? No, thank God. But why am I still trying to? Oh, that didn't save itself. Okay. Well, let's go back to what we had. A little bit of backtracking. Also, this has to happen first. We can't set up the panels before we get the access to this. Okay, so we're back to square one. We just need to fix the panels. So, maths, quick maths. Why is this wrong? Can I quick, where are you, Mr. Calculator? That should be fine. Or is it because it's I okay. Attempt number 2. Okay, there we go. It works now, as it should. So yeah, what this little thing here does is it's called casting. It basically changes the type of the variable. So our current health is stored as a integer, and integers are full numbers only. So I just changed it into a decimal, so we can handle it as a decimal. And then of course I divided by 100 because we have to have a value between 0 and 1, where 1 is our entire health and 0 is of course 0. That's the health bar when damage is taken. So this is it. This is our hourly stream done for today. I'll be back with this the latest Friday, the earliest Monday. I'll see. Actually, no, I'm 100% back on Monday, and then the second one is going to be on Friday. And in between, there's going to be the puzzle stream on Tuesday and Thursday. For next part, I believe we will definitely implement the formula for they taking damage. And we'll start working on the AI doing some damage himself, as the AI is not doing anything yet. So we will give some moves to our opponent, make him attack us back. And with that, we will have a basic framework of hitting and getting hit. I'll try looking for some assets to pad out the game a little bit more for next part as well. Thanks for anyone who chilled out. Thank you for correcting my bad spelling. And have a good night.